We are in section 5.4. How do animals use behavior as adaptations to help with survival? So you're copying this title. How do animals use behavior as adaptations to help with survival? Now, we actually just spent some time talking about how animals control their body, and that they can control their movement or they can control an internal response. And so we're going to be talking about how these are called behaviors. A behavior is going to be a response to a stimulus. So animals that can sense their environment and respond are capable of behaviors. Let's talk for a second about what a behavior is. A behavior is a response to a stimulus. A behavior is a response to a stimulus. Well, what is a stimulus? A stimulus is a change in the environment that causes a response in the animal. So when we have a stimulus, for example, turning all the lights off, that's a stimulus. It's a change in the environment. So when we have a stimulus, the animal will respond. If we turn all the lights off, animals' eyes, your pupils will actually dilate. Your pupils will get wider, allowing more light in, even in the dark. And so the behavior is the pupils dilating. But the pupils only dilated because your body sensed that there was a change in the environment. So in this unit, we're looking at how do we use behaviors to help us survive. There are two main types of behavior: innate behaviors, and then what we're going to call learned behaviors. Innate behaviors, we're going to write out to the side, you are born with. Born with. You are born with innate behaviors. These are behaviors that require no practice. So for example, a baby crying doesn't require any practice, and no one would teach a baby how to cry. In fact, we spend a lot of time trying to teach babies how to stop crying. So innate behaviors are coded for by our genes. Our DNA has the information or the code for that behavior. These behaviors are sometimes called instincts. They can be seen at birth, such as babies begging for food or suckling to get milk. There are certain behaviors called taxis behaviors. I like the word taxis because it makes me think of a taxi, like a car. And taxis behaviors help you move towards or away from a stimulus. So for example, if we talk about cockroaches innately, from their genes, prefer to be in the dark. So if we have a dark environment and we turn the light on, the cockroaches will move towards the dark. And that's called phototaxis. Another one is called chemotaxis, like chemicals. So for example, if I let you smell chocolate chip cookies and I let you smell bleach, which one would you move towards? Now we all have learned how good chocolate chip cookies are, but there are some smells that from birth you innately avoid. The other one that we want to talk about and mention just really quickly is this one called fight or flight response. The fight or flight response happens when there is danger. And as you saw in your apps in the last section, when there's the fight or flight response, your heart rate will increase, your pupils will dilate, your respiratory or breathing rate will increase, and this all happens innately. Now these are all going to be things that happen in your body, what we call physiological. And so all of these are innate. You are born with your body controlling them. So these are your basic innate behaviors called instincts. Then we have some more complex behaviors. Behaviors may be in response to other organisms. Courtship behaviors include singing birds and the bee waggle dance. The bee waggle dance can also be used to find food. So we have this whole set of behaviors that happen what we call innately. No practice needed, no one has to teach you. In fact, if we were to put a bird in solitary confinement or isolation, the bird would still start to sing a song. And so that's how we know that it's an innate behavior. Now, defending your territory is another really good example. If you have a dog, does your dog bark at someone walking by? I didn't teach my dog how to bark. In fact, I try to teach him, okay, thank you, that's enough barking. And so defending your territory occurs among many organisms and can include aggressive actions. If you're aggressive, if you bare your teeth and you growl and you make yourself appear really big, then you might not even have to get into a fight. You might scare them off. And so that's an advantage. That helps you survive. The last part that we're going to talk about today are some behaviors occur in rhythms. Or next to rhythm, we're going to put cycle. So a rhythm or a cycle happens over and over and over again. And sometimes these happen in response to changes in the temperature or the season. I also want us to add in, for example, daylight. Daylight. And this is something called your circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm. If we look at humans, what do we do when there's daylight out? We're active, we're moving around. But what about a bat? What does a bat do during the daylight? It's very quiet. It doesn't move or interact very much. Versus if you swap them at night, humans are usually quiet. And it's the bats that are out at night. And so we call that a circadian rhythm because it cycles and happens over and over according to changes in temperature, seasons, daylight, etc. This also includes migration, hibernation, and something called estivation. Now most people are familiar with hibernation is when we slow the body down, when we slow the body because it's cold. Well, estivation is, again, when we slow the body, but this is because it's too hot. So some organisms will actually slow their body down because it's too hot. And so this is actually where we're going to stop notes for now. If you will, make sure that you complete the summary box. That's all.